The champagne glass trembled in Sophia's hand as she watched Michael cross the gallery floor toward her. His predatory smile cut through the elegant crowd like a knife through silk. She'd been safe here, or so she thought. The charity art gala was supposed to be her sanctuary, a place where men like him didn't belong, but Michael had found her anyway, his expensive suit a mockery of respectability as he wove between million-dollar paintings and New York's elite. Her heart hammered against her ribs. 3 weeks. That's how long she'd been dodging his calls, hiding from his collectors, praying for a miracle that never came. $50,000 plus interest, money she didn't have, money she'd never have. Ms. Monroe. His voice slithered across her name as he closed the distance. We need to talk about your situation. Sophia's breath caught. The gallery's chandeliers suddenly felt too bright, the classical music too loud. She stepped back, but her heel caught the edge of a display pedestal. Strong hands steadied her from behind, hands that radiated controlled power and expensive cologne. Is there a problem here? The voice was smooth, accented, dangerous. Sophia turned and found herself staring into the darkest eyes she'd ever seen. The man who'd caught her was impossibly handsome in a way that made Sophia's breath hitch despite her panic. Sharp jawline, perfectly styled black hair, and a presence that commanded the entire room without effort. His black suit was immaculate, tailored to perfection, and when he looked at Michael, something predatory flickered in those dark eyes. Kang Hyunwoo. Michael's smile faltered. I didn't know you'd be attending tonight. Clearly. Hyunwoo's hand remained on Sophia's elbow, possessive, protective. You were saying something about a situation? Sophia's mind raced. She didn't know this man, had never seen him before tonight, but the way Michael took an involuntary step backward told her everything she needed to know. Whoever Kang Hyunwoo was, he was dangerous, more dangerous than Michael. Just a private business matter, Michael said carefully. Nothing that concerns you. Everything in this gallery concerns me. Hyunwoo's tone was casual, but steel ran beneath it. I'm considering a substantial acquisition from Miss Ashford's collection. I'd hate for any unpleasantness to disrupt the evening. Sophia's pulse thundered. She should pull away, excuse herself, run. But something in Hyunwoo's grip told her to stay still, to play along with whatever game he was orchestrating. Of course. Michael's jaw tightened. We can discuss this another time, Ms. Monroe. Enjoy your evening. He melted back into the crowd, but not before shooting Sophia a look that promised this wasn't over. Her knees nearly buckled with relief. Thank you, she whispered, finally pulling free from Hyunwoo's grip. I don't know what... Who is he? Hyunwoo cut her off, his gaze still tracking Michael's retreat through the gallery. Nobody. Just... It's complicated. Complicated enough that you look like you've seen a ghost. He turned those intense eyes on her, and Sophia felt stripped bare under his scrutiny. Complicated enough that a man like Michael Webb is harassing you at a charity gala. Her blood went cold. You know him? I know of him. Hyunwoo plucked 2 glasses of champagne from a passing waiter, handing her one. Loan shark. Works for the Volkov organization out of Brighton Beach. Not someone a woman like you should be involved with. A woman like me? Sophia bristled despite her fear. His lips curved, not quite a smile. An art gallery assistant who can't afford the jewelry she's wearing tonight. His gaze dropped to her wrist, where she wore her mother's vintage bracelet, the only valuable thing she owned. Borrowed from the estate collection upstairs, I'd guess, which means you work here but can't afford to attend as a guest. Heat flooded Sophia's cheeks. That's incredibly rude, but accurate. He sipped his champagne, unbothered. How much do you owe him? That's none of your business. 50,000. More. Sophia's silence was answer enough. She wanted to walk away, to escape this stranger's penetrating gaze and uncomfortable questions, but her feet stayed rooted, because beneath the arrogance and intrusion, she heard something else in his voice. Concern, maybe, or calculation. My father had a heart attack, she heard herself say. Emergency surgery. No insurance. I was desperate and stupid, and I went to the wrong people for help. And now Michael Webb owns you. Nobody owns me. The words came out fierce, defiant. I'm going to pay him back. I just need time. Hyunwoo studied her with those unreadable eyes. Around them the gala continued, wealthy patrons admiring Korean contemporary art, champagne flowing, classical music swelling. But in their small bubble, the world had narrowed to just the 2 of them. What's your name? He asked finally. Sophia Monroe. Well, Sophia Monroe, I'm going to make you an offer. He set down his glass with deliberate care. I need someone who understands art, who can navigate these circles without drawing attention, someone who needs money and has motivation to be discreet. I'm not sleeping with you. The words burst out before she could stop them. His eyebrow arched. I'm not asking you to. I'm offering you a job. Doing what? My import business deals in high-end Korean art and antiques. I need an American consultant who can authenticate pieces, help me navigate the New York art scene, attend events like this as my associate. Your associate. Sophia's mind spun. This was insane. She didn't know this man, didn't trust the way he'd appeared exactly when she needed rescuing. Why me? Because you're smart enough to recognize quality. He gestured at the exhibit around them. Desperate enough to consider unconventional solutions, and brave enough to stand up to me despite clearly being terrified. I'm not terrified of you. You should be. The words were soft, almost gentle. But that's what makes you interesting. So here's my offer. Work for me for 6 months. I'll pay you enough to clear your debt to Webb and support your family. In exchange, you help me expand my business contacts and authenticate my acquisitions. That's it? That's all you want? Something flickered across his face, something dark and complicated. For now, Sophia's instincts screamed that this was a terrible idea, that men like Kang Hyun-woo didn't help people out of kindness, that there were strings attached she couldn't yet see. But when she looked across the gallery and saw Michael watching her from beside a Joseon dynasty landscape painting, his smile promising violence, her options crystallized. One condition, she said. Name it. If I find out you're lying about what this job actually involves, if you try to force me into anything illegal or you walk away. He extended his hand. No consequences. You have my word. The word of a stranger. The word of Kang Hyun-woo. His eyes held hers. Which, in certain circles, is worth more than any contract. Sophia's hand trembled as she reached for his. The moment their palms touched, electricity sparked between them. Something primal and dangerous that had nothing to do with business arrangements and everything to do with the way he looked at her, like she was a puzzle he intended to solve, a treasure he'd just acquired. I'll need you to start immediately, Hyun-woo said, not releasing her hand. Webb will come for you again. Tonight, if I'm not mistaken. So here's what's going to happen. What? You're going to stay close to me for the rest of this evening. Let him see that you're under my protection now. Let everyone see. I don't understand. You don't need to understand. You need to trust that I know how men like Michael Webb operate. His grip tightened fractionally. And you need to decide right now if you're brave enough to play this game. Sophia's throat went dry. Across the room, Michael was moving toward them again, and this time he'd brought friends. 2 large men in suits that didn't quite hide the bulges of weapons. Her father was still in the hospital. Emma's tuition was due next month, and Grace's couch, where Sophia had been sleeping for 3 weeks to avoid Webb's collectors finding her apartment, was getting old. What do I have to do? She whispered. Hyun-woo's smile was sharp, satisfied. For starters, stay in my arms until he leaves. Before Sophia could process the words, he'd pulled her close, one arm sliding around her waist, the other capturing her hand as he swept her into an elegant, slow dance. The orchestra had shifted to something romantic and sweeping, and suddenly they were moving together across the gallery floor like they'd been partners for years. What are you— Shh! His breath stirred her hair. You're supposed to look enamored, not terrified. Smile, Sophia. Laugh at something I've said. Make them believe you're mine. This is crazy. This is survival. His hand pressed against the small of her back, guiding her into a turn that brought them face to face with Michael and his thugs. Watch. Michael had stopped dead, his expression shifting from predatory confidence to genuine uncertainty. Around them, other guests had noticed their dance, whispers rippling through the crowd as people recognized Hyun-woo and wondered who the beautiful black woman in his arms was. They're staring, Sophia breathed. Good. Let them. Hyun-woo dipped his head close to her ear, and Sophia's entire body responded to his proximity. By tomorrow morning, everyone in New York's underworld will know that Sophia Monroe is under Kang Hyun-woo's protection. Webb won't touch you, his bosses won't allow it. Why would they care what you think? His laugh was dark, rich. Because I'm not just an art importer, Sophia. I'm the head of the Kang family. And in certain circles that makes me untouchable. The truth of his words sank in slowly, terrifyingly. This wasn't a businessman who'd rescued her out of kindness. This was something else entirely. Something dangerous. You're... Yes. His eyes met hers, unflinching. So the question is, are you brave enough to stay in my arms? Or would you rather take your chances with Webb? Sophia looked over Hyunwoo's shoulder and saw Michael retreating toward the exit, his thugs flanking him, defeat written in every line of his posture. Then she looked back at the man holding her, this stranger who'd appeared out of nowhere and changed everything. I'm not afraid of you, she lied. His smile was devastating. Not yet. The music swelled. Hyunwoo spun her across the gallery floor, and Sophia realized with terrifying clarity that she'd just made a deal with someone far more dangerous than Michael Webb could ever be. The question was whether she'd survive long enough to regret it. Sophia's apartment in Queens looked even shabbier with Kang Hyunwoo standing in the middle of her tiny living room. He'd insisted on seeing where she lived after the gala, and now his expensive presence made her second-hand furniture, and peeling paint seemed like artifacts from another world entirely. This won't work, he said flatly, examining the flimsy lock on her door. Webb knows where you live. I can't just leave. Sophia dropped her purse on the kitchen counter that doubled as her dining table. My lease is irrelevant. Hyunwoo pulled out his phone, firing off a text in rapid Korean. Ji-hoon will arrange for movers tomorrow. You'll stay at one of my properties until we've resolved the Webb situation. Excuse me? Heat flooded Sophia's cheeks. You can't just... I didn't agree to move in with you. You're not moving in with me. You're moving into a secure apartment I own in Koreatown. 2 bedrooms, full security, close to the gallery so you can maintain your day job. He pocketed his phone, those dark eyes pinning her in place. Unless you'd prefer I tell Michael Webb where to find you. Sophia's hands clenched into fists. You're blackmailing me. I'm protecting you. There's a difference. Is there? Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe, or respect. Most people don't question me. I'm not most people. No. His gaze traveled over her slowly, deliberately. You're definitely not. The way he looked at her made Sophia's skin burn. She was still wearing the borrowed cocktail dress from the gala, her natural hair swept up in an elegant twist that Grace had helped her create. Under Hyunwoo's scrutiny, she felt both powerful and exposed, like he could see right through her carefully constructed defenses to the terrified woman beneath. Why are you really doing this? She asked quietly. Men like you don't help people without expecting something in return. Men like me. His lips curved without humor. What do you think you know about men like me, Sophia? I know you're dangerous. I know people are afraid of you. I know that look Michael gave you wasn't respect. It was fear. Good. Fear keeps you alive in my world. I don't want to be part of your world. You already are. Hyunwoo crossed the small space between them in 2 strides. Suddenly he was close enough that Sophia could smell his cologne, something expensive and woodsy that made her head spin. The moment you borrowed money from the Volkov organization, you entered my world. The only question now is whether you survive it. And you're going to help me survive. Sophia forced herself not to back away. Out of the goodness of your heart. I don't have a good heart. His voice dropped to something dangerous and intimate. Ask anyone who knows me. But I do have standards. And watching men like Michael Webb prey on desperate women offends those standards. So this is about your ego. This is about power. Webb's bosses will think twice before coming after someone under my protection. And you... His hand came up, fingers ghosting along her jawline so gently she barely felt the touch. You get to sleep without worrying that debt collectors will break down your door in the middle of the night. Sophia's breath caught. His fingers were warm against her skin, his touch devastatingly careful for a man who radiated such controlled violence. She should pull away. Should tell him to stop touching her. But her body had other ideas, leaning infinitesimally closer. What do you really want from me? She whispered. I told you. 6 months. Art authentication and social navigation. That's not an answer. Hyunwoo's thumb brushed across her lower lip, and Sophia's entire nervous system lit up. Maybe I don't know yet what I want. Maybe you're a puzzle I'm still trying to solve. I'm not a puzzle. I'm a person. Yes. His eyes darkened. A person who walked into a lion's den wearing borrowed jewelry and pride like armor. A person who looked me in the eye and told me she wasn't afraid when we both know that's a lie. A person who interests me, Sophia. And in my experience, that's a dangerous thing. Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. Hyunwoo stepped back smoothly, the moment shattering like glass. When he checked the screen, his expression hardened. Webb's people are watching your building. We need to leave. Now. Fear spiked through Sophia's chest. What? How do you— I have eyes everywhere in this city. He was already moving toward her bedroom. Pack essentials, 5 minutes. Everything else can be replaced. I can't just— Sophia. He turned, and the command in his voice froze her in place. I understand this is happening fast. I understand you don't trust me. But right now, you have 2 choices. Come with me willingly, or stay here and deal with Webb's collectors alone. Choose. Sophia's mind raced. Through her window she could see the street below. And yes, there was a dark sedan parked across from her building that hadn't been there when they arrived. 2 men sat inside, their attention fixed on her apartment. Damn it! She rushed into her bedroom, grabbing her backpack and shoving in clothes, toiletries, her mother's jewelry box. Her hands shook as she packed, adrenaline flooding her system. This couldn't be happening. 2 weeks ago, she'd been a normal gallery assistant with normal problems. Now she was running from loan sharks with a Korean Mafia boss who looked at her like she was something precious and dangerous all at once. When she emerged, Hyunwoo was on his phone speaking rapid Korean. He ended the call as she appeared. Ji-hoon's bringing the car around back. We'll take the fire escape. This is insane. This is your life now. He took her backpack, slinging it over his shoulder like it weighed nothing. At least until we've neutralized the Webb situation. After that, his gaze held hers. You can decide if you want to stay or walk away, and you'll let me walk away. Sophia didn't believe that for a second. Hyunwoo's smile was sharp. Ask me again in 6 months. They took the fire escape down 3 floors, Hyunwoo moving with a grace that suggested he'd done this before. A sleek black Mercedes waited in the alley below, and a man who must be Ji-hoon held the rear door open. He was handsome in a dangerous way, sharp features, calculating eyes, and a visible shoulder holster under his jacket. Boss! Ji-hoon nodded to Hyunwoo, then turned that assessing gaze on Sophia. This is her. This is Sophia Monroe. Hyunwoo's hand pressed against the small of her back, guiding her into the car. She'll be staying at the 32nd Street property. Full security detail. Understood. Ji-hoon's expression revealed nothing, but Sophia caught the flicker of curiosity in his eyes before he closed the door. Inside the Mercedes, Sophia found herself alone with Hyunwoo again. The car pulled smoothly into traffic, and she watched her building disappear behind them, her life as she'd known it vanishing with every block they traveled. Your friend, she said finally. Ji-hoon. How long have you known him? Since we were children in Seoul. He's the only person I trust completely. And now you're trusting me. I'm paying you, that's different. But his tone was thoughtful, almost gentle. Though I'm beginning to think you might be worth trusting, Sophia Monroe. You don't know anything about me. I know you borrowed $50,000 to save your father's life. I know you've been working double shifts at the gallery to try to pay it back. I know you have a younger sister at NYU whose tuition you're helping cover. I know your best friend Grace has been letting you sleep on her couch while you hide from Webb's collectors. He met her startled gaze. I do my research. That's terrifying. That's thorough. His hand found hers in the darkness of the car. I don't make moves without understanding all the pieces on the board. And you, Sophia, you're becoming a very interesting piece. Sophia's heart hammered as his fingers interlaced with hers. This was wrong. All of it. She barely knew this man, didn't trust him, couldn't understand why her body responded to his touch like he'd been designed specifically to unravel her. What if I don't want to be a piece on your board? She whispered. Then you'll be the first person to successfully resist me. Hyunwoo lifted her hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to her knuckles that sent electricity straight through her core. And that, more than anything, makes me want to keep you close. The car pulled up outside a modern building in Koreatown. Through the windows, Sophia could see Korean restaurants and shops lit up against the night sky. This would be her new neighborhood, her new life. One more thing, Hyunwoo said as Ji-hoon opened the door. Starting tomorrow, you work for me exclusively. Give notice at the gallery. Your art expertise belongs to the Kang family now. You can't just— I can. I am. He stepped out of the car, then turned back to offer his hand. Welcome to your new world, Sophia. Try not to get lost in it. Sophia stared at his outstretched hand, an invitation and a threat all at once. Behind her was her old life, struggling, desperate, drowning. Ahead was something terrifying and unknown, with a man who looked at her like she was a puzzle he intended to solve no matter the cost. She took his hand, and as Hyunwoo's fingers closed around hers, Sophia realized she'd just crossed a line she could never uncross. Whatever happened next, whatever price this protection cost, she was his now, at least until she figured out how to become her own again. The apartment was beautiful. Sophia stood in the middle of the spacious living room, taking in the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Koreatown, the modern furniture that probably cost more than her entire year's salary, the kitchen with appliances she barely knew how to use. It was overwhelming. Perfect. Terrifying. The second bedroom is through there. Hyunwoo gestured down a hallway. Security system is state-of-the-art. Code is 0815. Don't share it with anyone. Not even Grace? Especially not Grace. His expression softened slightly. I know she's your friend, but the fewer people who know where you are, the safer you'll be. Webb's organization has reach. Sophia's stomach twisted. You mean I'm a prisoner here? You're protected here. There's a difference. You keep saying that. I'm not sure I believe it anymore. Hyunwoo was quiet for a moment, studying her with those unreadable eyes. Then he crossed to the window, his silhouette backlit by the city lights. My father was killed when I was 16. Rival organization. They shot him in the street like a dog while I watched from across the road. Sophia's breath caught. Hyunwoo, I was powerless then. Too young, too weak, too unprepared to protect what mattered. He turned to face her, and something raw flickered in his expression. I swore I'd never be powerless again, that I'd never watch someone under my protection suffer because I wasn't strong enough, smart enough, ruthless enough. Is that what I am? Someone under your protection? Yes. Why? The question burst out. You still haven't really told me why you're doing this, why you care what happens to some gallery assistant you met at a party. Hyunwoo moved toward her slowly, deliberately. Because when I saw you standing there with Webb approaching, something in your expression reminded me of my mother the day my father died. Terrified but defiant, vulnerable but refusing to break. And I realized he stopped just inches away. I couldn't walk away from that. Couldn't watch another woman face that kind of fear alone. So, this is about your mother. This is about choosing who I want to be. His hand came up, cupping her cheek with devastating gentleness. In my world, Sophia, you become what you have to become to survive. Hard, cold, ruthless. But every once in a while you get a chance to be something else, someone better. And maybe, his thumb brushed across her cheekbone, maybe you're my chance. Sophia's heart hammered against her ribs. She should step back, should maintain distance, should remember that this man was dangerous regardless of his tragic past. But the vulnerability in his eyes unraveled her, made her see the boy who'd watched his father die instead of the Mafia boss who commanded fear. I don't want to be anyone's redemption arc, she whispered. Good. I don't want to be redeemed. His smile was slight, self-deprecating. Just maybe, less alone. Before Sophia could respond, his phone buzzed. Hyunwoo pulled back, checking the screen with a frown. Problem? She asked. Always. He typed a rapid response. Webb's bosses are pushing back. They want compensation for losing your debt. How much? 75,000, plus interest. Sophia's stomach dropped. That's more than I owed. That's the price of disrespecting them by putting yourself under my protection. Hyunwoo's expression hardened. Don't worry, I'll handle it. How? Better you don't know the details. That's not acceptable. Sophia crossed her arms. If people are going to get hurt because of me, people are going to get hurt regardless. This is my world, remember? But his eyes softened when he saw her distress. No one will die, Sophia. I'm not looking for conflict, just leverage. The Volkov organization respects power. Once they understand that taking you would cost them more than they'd gain, they'll back off. And if they don't, then I'll make them. The casual certainty in his voice sent chills down her spine. Get some rest. Tomorrow we start your real training. Training for what? Surviving in my world, understanding the players, learning how to move through these circles without attracting the wrong kind of attention. He headed for the door, then paused. And Sophia, lock this door behind me, trust the security system, but more than that, he met her eyes. Trust that I won't let anyone hurt you. After he left, Sophia stood in the silent apartment, her mind spinning. She pulled out her phone and called Grace. Oh my God, where are you? Grace answered on the first ring. I've been freaking out. Some scary guys came by asking about you. I'm safe. I can't tell you where, but I'm safe. Sophia, what's happening? Who were those men? It's complicated. Remember that loan I took out for Dad's surgery? Please tell me you didn't. I'm handling it. But Grace, I need you to trust me. And I need you not to tell anyone where I am, not even Emma. You're scaring me. I know, I'm scared too. Sophia's voice cracked. "But I met someone who's helping, someone powerful, and I think—" She glanced around the expensive apartment. "I think I'm in over my head, but it's too late to turn back." "This someone," Grace's voice took on a knowing tone. "Is he hot?" "Despite everything," Sophia laughed. "Incredibly. Dangerously so. Girl, you have to tell me everything." "I can't. Not yet. But I promise I'll explain when I can. Just trust me." After she hung up, Sophia explored the apartment more thoroughly. In the second bedroom, she found her backpack already unpacked. Her clothes hung neatly in the closet. On the dresser sat a new phone. Expensive, top of the line. A note in elegant handwriting read, "Your old phone could be tracked. Use this. My number is programmed. H." Sophia picked up the new phone and found exactly 2 contacts saved. Hyunwoo and Ji-hoon, security. Her old life, her old connections, all severed. This was her world now. She changed into pajamas and climbed into the massive bed, but sleep wouldn't come. Her mind kept replaying Hyunwoo's words, the vulnerability in his eyes, the way his touch had made her entire body respond. This was supposed to be a business arrangement. Protection in exchange for art expertise. Nothing more. So why did it feel like something far more dangerous was beginning? Around 2 a.m., Sophia finally drifted off. She dreamed of dark eyes and gentle touches, of danger and safety intertwined, of a man who looked at her like she was worth protecting and conquering all at once. When she woke the next morning, she found Hyunwoo in her kitchen making breakfast. He moved with casual confidence through the space, clearly familiar with the apartment. When he noticed her in the doorway, his smile was devastating. "I hope you like Korean food. I made kimchi jjigae." "You cook?" Sophia blinked in confusion. "My mother taught me. She said a man who couldn't feed himself wasn't truly independent." He ladled the spicy stew into bowls. "Come eat. We have a lot to discuss today." Sophia settled at the island, accepting the bowl he offered. The stew was incredible. Rich, complex, perfectly spiced. She couldn't help the small moan of appreciation. "Good?" Hyunwoo's eyes darkened. "Amazing. Where did you learn—" She stopped. "Your mother taught you. Before she died. Cancer, 3 years after my father." His expression remained neutral, but Sophia caught the flash of old pain. She wanted to make sure I'd remember her through her recipes, that I'd have something of home, no matter where the business took me. "I'm sorry." The words felt inadequate. "Don't be. She lived well, died peacefully. That's more than most people in my world get." He sat across from her with his own bowl. "Tell me about your family. Your father. How is he?" "Recovering. The surgery went well, but the bills—" Sophia set down her spoon. "That's how this all started. The hospital wanted payment up front for the rehabilitation program. I didn't have it. The bank wouldn't give me a loan. And then someone mentioned Michael Webb, and I was desperate enough to listen. Desperation makes us do things we'd never normally consider." Hyunwoo's gaze was understanding. "It's not weakness. It's love. My sister thinks I should have let Dad go without the rehab. Says I'm drowning our family trying to save him. Your sister is young. She doesn't understand yet that some things are worth drowning for." He reached across the island, his hand covering hers. "You did what you had to do. That takes courage. Or stupidity. Often the same thing." His smile was slight. "Which is why you're going to let me handle Webb's bosses. Because you've been courageous enough, Sophia. Let me be the ruthless one." A knock at the door interrupted them. Ji-hoon entered without waiting for permission, his expression serious. "Boss, we have a problem. Webb didn't back off like we expected. He's escalating." Hyunwoo's entire demeanor shifted, from gentle to dangerous in a heartbeat. "Explain." He grabbed Sophia's sister, has her at his warehouse in Red Hook. Sophia's bowl shattered against the floor. "What? Emma? He has Emma. When?" Hyunwoo was already moving, pulling out his phone. 30 minutes ago, snatched her outside her dorm. "He's demanding Sophia in exchange." "No." Hyunwoo's voice was steel. "Absolutely not. I have to go." Sophia grabbed Ji-hoon's arm. "She's my sister. I have to—" "You're not going anywhere." Hyunwoo caught her shoulders, forcing her to meet his eyes. "That's exactly what Webb wants. He can't get to you here, so he's using your sister as bait." "I don't care. He has Emma. And I will get her back." The absolute certainty in his voice cut through her panic. "But not by giving him what he wants. We do this my way, Sophia, trust me." "How can I trust you when my sister—" "Because I'm going to make Webb regret the day he touched anyone you love." Hyunwoo's eyes had gone cold, dangerous. "Ji-hoon, call Sungmin. Tell him to mobilize everyone. We're going to Red Hook. Boss, if we move on Volkov territory, then we move on Volkov territory. They violated the agreement. They took family. His grip on Sophia's shoulders tightened. That means consequences. Sophia's world spun. This was her fault. Emma was in danger because of her, because she'd taken that loan, because she'd accepted Hyunwoo's protection. I can't let you start something over me. You're not letting me do anything. I'm choosing this. Hyunwoo pulled her close, his forehead pressing against hers. Do you understand, Sophia? I'm choosing you, your sister, your family, over peace, over alliances, over everything. So you're going to stay here where it's safe, and you're going to let me be the monster I was trained to be. Hyunwoo, no arguments. He kissed her forehead, quick, possessive. I'll bring Emma back, I promise you that, but I need to know you're safe while I do it. I can't just sit here. Yes, you can, because if anything happened to you while I was trying to save your sister, I'd burn this entire city down, and I don't think you want that on your conscience. His thumb brushed across her cheek. So be brave for me one more time. Stay here, trust me. Let me protect you. Sophia wanted to argue, to insist on coming, to do something other than wait helplessly, but the determination in Hyunwoo's eyes stopped her. This was who he was, protector, warrior, man who kept his promises no matter the cost. Bring her back safe, she whispered. I will. I swear it. And then he was gone, Ji-hoon behind him, leaving Sophia alone in the apartment with nothing but her fear and her faith that she'd chosen the right person to trust with her sister's life. The hours crawled by with agonizing slowness. Sophia paced the apartment, her new phone clutched in her hand, waiting for updates that didn't come. She tried calling Hyunwoo, no answer. Ji-hoon, no answer. Even the emergency number Hyunwoo had programmed went straight to voicemail. Grace called twice. Sophia didn't answer, couldn't bear to explain that Emma was in danger because of her. Her father called from the rehabilitation center, worried because Emma had missed their scheduled visit. Sophia lied, said Emma was studying for finals. Everything was fine. The words tasted like ash. By nightfall, Sophia was ready to crawl out of her skin. She stood at the window, staring down at Koreatown's neon lights, and wondered if she'd made a terrible mistake trusting Hyunwoo. What if he couldn't get Emma back? What if Webb hurt her? What if... The apartment door opened. Sophia spun around, hope and fear warring in her chest. Hyunwoo stood in the doorway. His white shirt had dark stains. His knuckles were split and bruised. But behind him, alive and terrified but whole, was Emma. Oh my God! Sophia rushed forward, pulling her sister into a fierce embrace. Emma, are you hurt? Did they... I'm okay. Emma was shaking, tears streaming down her face. I'm okay. He saved me. Sophia, what's happening? Who is this man? Why did those people take me? Shh, it's okay. You're safe now. Sophia held her sister tight, her own tears falling. Over Emma's shoulder, she met Hyunwoo's eyes. Thank you, she mouthed. His expression was unreadable. Emma needs to see a doctor. Ji-hoon's arranging it, and then... His gaze hardened. We need to talk, all of us. An hour later, after a doctor had examined Emma and pronounced her physically unharmed if emotionally traumatized, the three of them sat in Sophia's living room. Emma kept staring at Hyunwoo like he was a dangerous animal that might attack at any moment. Start from the beginning, Emma said quietly. And don't lie to me this time, Sophia. I deserve to know why I was kidnapped. Sophia took a shaky breath and told her everything. The loan, Michael Webb, the Volkov organization, meeting Hyunwoo at the gala, the protection arrangement. Emma listened in growing horror. You made a deal with someone like him? Emma's voice rose. Are you insane? I was desperate. Dad would rather die than have you sell yourself to criminals. Emma turned to Hyunwoo. And you, what do you really want from my sister? Emma, Sophia started. No, I want to hear it from him. Emma's jaw set stubbornly. What's your angle? Why are you really helping her? Hyunwoo met Emma's glare calmly. Because your sister reminds me of everything good I've lost in my life. Because she's brave and stubborn and refuses to break even when she should. Because watching her stand up to men like Webb makes me want to be better than I am. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have. His eyes shifted to Sophia. I don't fully understand it myself, but I know that when I saw you standing in that gallery with Webb approaching, something shifted in me. And when Ji-hoon told me they'd taken Emma, I knew I'd do whatever it took to get her back. Because she's yours. And what's yours matters to me now. Sophia's throat tightened. What happened at the warehouse? I made Webb understand that touching your family was a mistake. Hyunwoo's expression went cold. The Volkov organization has agreed to forgive your debt entirely in exchange for territorial concessions. Webb himself, he paused, won't be bothering anyone anymore. You killed him. Emma's voice was flat. I removed a threat. Hyunwoo's gaze didn't waver. And I'd do it again. He put his hands on a 19-year-old girl to manipulate her sister. Men like that don't deserve mercy. And men like you deserve to decide who lives and dies. No, but I'm going to decide anyway. Because that's the world I was born into, and I'm very good at surviving it. He stood, moving toward the door. Emma can stay here tonight if she wants. Security will keep her safe. But tomorrow, you both need to decide if you can handle what being associated with me really means. Wait. Sophia followed him to the door. I never asked you to kill anyone. You didn't have to. You asked me to save your sister. I did. His hand cupped her cheek. I know this scares you. I know I'm not the hero you wanted, but I'm the one you've got, Sophia, and I keep my promises no matter how they get kept. This isn't what I wanted. I know. His thumb brushed across her lower lip. But it's what you needed. There's a difference. After he left, Sophia returned to find Emma staring at her with a mixture of fear and accusation. You're in love with him, Emma said flatly. I barely know him. That's not what I asked. Emma's eyes were too knowing. Sophia, he just admitted to killing someone, and you looked at him like he'd brought you flowers. He saved your life by taking someone else's. Emma stood. This is wrong. All of it. You need to get away from him before you get in so deep you can't get out. It's already too late for that. The words came out before Sophia could stop them. The moment I took his hand at that gala, I crossed a line. And maybe, she met her sister's eyes, maybe I don't want to go back. You're not thinking clearly. Maybe for the first time I'm thinking clearly enough. Sophia's hands clenched. I'm tired of being powerless, Emma. Tired of watching bad things happen and not being able to stop them. Hyunwoo makes me feel dangerous. Safe. The admission felt like surrender. He makes me feel safe. Protected. Like I matter. And I know that's probably messed up, but I can't help it. Emma was quiet for a long moment. Then she pulled her sister into a hug. Just promise me you'll be careful. Promise me you know what you're doing. I promise I'm trying to figure it out. That's not the same thing. I know. After Emma finally fell asleep in the guest room, Sophia found herself staring at her phone. At Hyunwoo's contact information, her finger hovered over the call button for long minutes before she finally pressed it. He answered on the first ring. Sophia, are you okay? The question surprised her. I should be asking you that. I mean physically. You had stains on your shirt. Not my blood. A pause. Does it bother you, knowing what I did tonight? Sophia considered lying. Considered saying yes, it bothered her deeply. She couldn't reconcile the gentleman who'd made her breakfast with the person who'd saved her sister. But in the quiet darkness of her new bedroom, honesty felt more important than comfort. It should bother me more than it does, she admitted. And that scares me. What does it say about me that I'm grateful? It says you're human, that you love your sister, that you understand sometimes force is the only language certain people speak. His voice was gentle. You're not a bad person for being relieved Emma's safe, Sophia. You're just a person. Emma thinks I'm in love with you. Silence stretched between them. Then, are you? I don't know. How can I be? I've known you for 3 days. Sometimes 3 days is enough. Another pause. I'm not good at this, at feelings, at letting people in, but you've gotten under my skin in a way I can't explain. And tonight, when I thought about what Webb might do to Emma if I didn't get there in time, his breath caught. All I could think about was how devastated you'd be, how I'd failed to protect what mattered to you. It made me reckless, dangerous. You saved her. I almost didn't. We were minutes away from... He stopped. I should have moved faster. Should have anticipated Webb would retaliate this way. This isn't your fault. Yes, it is. Everything I touch gets complicated, dangerous. That's why I usually keep people at arm's length. But you... A soft laugh. You make me want to pull you closer instead of pushing you away. Even knowing it's selfish. Even knowing I'll probably end up hurting you eventually. Sophia's throat tightened. What if I'm willing to risk it? Then you're braver than I thought. Or more foolish. Maybe both. She curled into the expensive pillows. Will you tell me something true, something you've never told anyone else? Why? Because I want to understand you. Really understand you. Not the Mafia boss or the protector or the businessman. You. Hyunwoo was quiet for so long Sophia thought he might refuse. Then, I'm terrified of failing, of becoming my father, a man who loved fiercely but wasn't strong enough to protect his family when it mattered. Every choice I make, every ruthless decision, every boundary I cross, it's all trying to outrun that fear, trying to become powerful enough that I'll never lose anyone again. But you've still lost people. The words were gentle. Yes, my mother, friends, people I cared about, because in the end, power doesn't guarantee safety. It just guarantees you'll have more to lose. A breath. And now I have you. Something else to lose, something else to fail. You won't fail me. How can you be so sure? Because you made me a promise, and I believe you keep your promises, Hyunwoo, even the ones that cost you everything. She could hear his smile through the phone. Get some rest, Sophia. Tomorrow we start rebuilding. Your life, your safety, your future. I'll help you with all of it. And what do you get in return? Maybe just you. Maybe that's enough. After they hung up, Sophia lay in the darkness and admitted the terrifying truth to herself. Emma was right. She was falling for Kang Hyunwoo, falling for a dangerous man who acted without hesitation and protected her with a ferocity that should terrify her, but instead made her feel cherished. And somewhere in the night, across the city, Hyunwoo sat in his penthouse and admitted the same truth to himself. Sophia Monroe had become more than a puzzle to solve. She'd become the reason he wanted to be better, the reason he'd risk everything, and in his world, that was the most dangerous thing of all. 3 weeks later, Sophia stood in Hyunwoo's private office examining a Goryeo dynasty celadon vase. The piece was exquisite, pale green glaze, delicate inlay work, nearly 1,000 years old. Her new job authenticating art for the Kang family had turned out to be legitimate, though she'd learned quickly that import business was code for a much more complex operation. It's genuine, she announced, setting the vase carefully on its display stand. The clay composition and firing techniques are consistent with late 12th century Korean pottery. I'd estimate its value at around 200,000, maybe more at the right auction. Good. Hyunwoo made a note in his ledger. He sat behind his massive desk, elegant in a charcoal suit, and Sophia's heart still did that inconvenient flutter every time she looked at him. The seller will be pleased. Over the past 3 weeks, they'd settled into an unexpected rhythm. Sophia authenticated art pieces, attended gallery events at Hyunwoo's side, and slowly learned to navigate the complex world of New York's elite. In return, Hyunwoo had paid off every penny of her father's medical debt, arranged for Emma's tuition to be covered through a scholarship from one of his companies, and ensured that no one from the Volkov organization would ever threaten her family again. But more than that, they'd grown closer. Late-night conversations that stretched until dawn, casual touches that lingered, moments when Sophia caught Hyunwoo looking at her with an intensity that made her breath catch. They hadn't crossed any lines, hadn't kissed beyond that brief press of lips to her knuckles, but the tension between them had become almost unbearable. Sophia, Hyunwoo's voice pulled her from her thoughts. We need to talk. Her stomach tightened. Those words never meant anything good. About what? About us. He stood, moving around the desk to lean against it. About where this is going. I didn't realize it was going anywhere specific. Don't play coy, you're too intelligent for that. His eyes held hers. We both know something's happening between us, something that goes beyond our business arrangement. And that's a problem? It could be. My world doesn't allow for weakness, and you, Sophia Monroe, have become my greatest weakness. He said it without apology, just stating fact. Which means you're also a target. I can handle myself. I know you can, but handling yourself and surviving an assassination attempt are different things. Hyunwoo's expression was serious. There are people who would hurt you to get to me, rival organizations, enemies I've made, even some within my own family who think you're a distraction. Your uncle Sungmin, among others. They don't understand why I'm protecting an outsider, why I'm risking alliances over someone who isn't Korean, who isn't part of our world. His jaw tightened. And I can't give them an answer that makes sense because I barely understand it myself. Sophia moved closer, emboldened by weeks of growing trust between them. Then maybe you should figure it out, because I'm tired of this dance we're doing. This thing where we pretend this is just business, when we both know it stopped being business the night you saved Emma. If we do this, Hyunwoo's hand came up, fingers threading through her natural curls with reverent gentleness. There's no going back. You'll be mine, Sophia, fully. And in my world, that comes with responsibilities, dangers, expectations you might not be prepared for. What if I want to be yours? The words came out barely above a whisper. What if I'm tired of being careful? What if I want to take the risk? Then you'd be braver than anyone I've ever met. His thumb traced her jawline. Because loving me isn't safe, Sophia. It's the most dangerous thing you could do. I think I'm willing to risk it. Hyunwoo's control finally shattered. He pulled her close with breathtaking intensity, one hand fisting in her hair as his mouth crashed against hers. The kiss was fierce, possessive, everything Sophia had been craving for weeks. She melted into him, her hands clutching his shoulders as he kissed her like she was oxygen and he was drowning. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, Hyunwoo pressed his forehead to hers. I need you to understand something. If we do this, I won't be able to let you go. I'm not built that way. You'll be mine and I'll be yours, and anyone who threatens that will face consequences. You're trying to scare me. I'm trying to be honest. His eyes searched hers. I'm not a good man, Sophia. I've done terrible things. I'll do terrible things again if it means keeping you safe. If that's something you can't accept, stop. Sophia pressed her fingers to his lips. I know who you are. I've known since that first night. And I'm choosing you anyway, the good, the bad, the terrifying, all of it. Why? The question was raw, vulnerable. Because you make me feel powerful instead of helpless. Because you see me as someone worth protecting instead of someone who needs saving. Because when you look at me, she cupped his face. I see the man you could be if the world hadn't forced you to become something else. And maybe I want to be the reason you remember that man exists. Hyunwoo kissed her again, softer this time but no less intense. Then stay, he murmured against her lips. Not just for 6 months. Not as my employee. Stay as my partner, my equal. The woman I wake up wanting to protect and go to sleep wanting to possess. That's very romantic for a mafia boss. You bring out unexpected sides of me. His smile was slight, self-deprecating. Ji-hoon thinks I've gone soft. Sungmin wants me to end this arrangement before I compromise everything I've built. But I don't care what they think. I only care what you think. I think. Sophia's breath hitched as his lips found the sensitive spot below her ear. I think you should take me home. To your home. Not the apartment you've been keeping me in, and you should show me exactly what being yours means. Hyunwoo's eyes darkened with promise. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. They left his office together, Hyunwoo's hand possessive at the small of her back. Ji-hoon raised an eyebrow as they passed, but said nothing, though his slight smile suggested he approved. The drive to Hyunwoo's penthouse in Tribeca passed in charged silence, both of them aware they were crossing a threshold they couldn't uncross. Inside his private sanctuary, Hyunwoo finally let his control slip completely. He backed Sophia against the floor-to-ceiling windows, the Manhattan skyline glittering behind her, as he kissed her with desperate intensity. I love you, he breathed against her throat. God help me. I love you. I've loved you since you looked me in the eye at that gala and told me you weren't afraid when we both knew it was a lie. I love you too. The admission felt like flying and falling all at once. Even though you're dangerous, even though loving you means living in your world, I love you anyway. Then stay in my arms, Hyunwoo murmured, echoing the words he'd whispered that first night. Not just until threats leave, forever. Stay forever, Sophia. Yes. She pulled him closer. Yes to all of it. What followed was tender and fierce, gentle and possessive, acclaiming on both sides. Hyunwoo held her afterward like she was something precious he'd finally found after years of searching, and Sophia realized with startling clarity that she'd found the same thing in him. What happens now? She asked softly, her head on his chest listening to his heartbeat. Now we build something new. His fingers traced patterns on her bare shoulder. A life that's ours. You continue authenticating art, but as my partner, not my employee. We navigate this world together, and when people question why I chose you, he tilted her face up to meet his eyes. I tell them the truth. That you're the strongest person I've ever met, that you saved me as much as I saved you, that you're mine, and I'm yours, and that's the end of the discussion. Your family won't accept that easily. Then they'll learn to accept it, or they'll learn what happens when they threaten what's mine. His expression softened, but I don't think it will come to that. Sungmin is traditional, but he's not unreasonable. Once he sees how much stronger I am with you beside me, he'll understand. And if he doesn't? Then I choose you over everything else. Family, business, alliances, all of it comes second to you now. Hyunwoo kissed her forehead. That's what love means in my world, Sophia. Total commitment, Absolute loyalty, no half measures. That's terrifying and romantic in equal measure. Welcome to life with a Korean mafia boss. His smile was devastating. It's never boring. They spent the weekend in his penthouse, learning each other in ways that went beyond physical. Hyunwoo taught her Korean phrases, shared stories about his childhood in Seoul, showed her the vulnerable parts of himself he'd hidden from everyone else. Sophia told him about her mother, who died when she was young, about the burden of being the responsible older sister, about her dreams of opening her own gallery someday. We'll make that happen, Hyunwoo promised. A legitimate gallery, fully funded, your expertise, my resources, a partnership in business and life. You're spoiling me. Good, you deserve to be spoiled. His hand found hers, their fingers interlacing. After everything you've survived, everything you've sacrificed for your family, let someone take care of you for once. Let me be that someone. On Sunday evening, they returned to reality. Emma came by the Koreatown apartment, bringing Grace with her. Both women stared at Sophia with knowing eyes. You're glowing, Grace announced. Please tell me you finally... Grace! Sophia's cheeks heated. Oh my God, you did! Grace grabbed her hands. Tell me everything. I'm not discussing this with you. That means yes. Grace turned to Emma. Your sister finally admitted her feelings. Pay up. You bet on my feelings, Sophia's voice rose. We bet on whether you'd admit you were in love with him. Emma handed Grace a 20. I said it would take another month. Grace said 2 weeks, max. I hate both of you. But she was smiling, and when Hyunwoo returned from taking a work call, both Grace and Emma studied him with new interest. He handled their scrutiny with aplomb, even charming Grace with stories about Korean street food, and promising to take them all to his favorite restaurant in Koreatown. Later, after everyone had left, Sophia found Hyunwoo on the balcony, looking out over the neighborhood. They like you, she said, sliding her arms around his waist from behind. Your sister still thinks I'm dangerous. You are dangerous, but you love me anyway. He turned, pulling her close. That still surprises me, that someone like you could love someone like me. Someone like me. Sophia raised an eyebrow. What does that mean? Good, pure, everything I'm not. His hand cupped her cheek. You make me want to be better, Sophia, to build something legitimate, to leave this world behind and just be a man who loves you. I don't need you to change who you are. I just need you to let me in, to trust me with all the parts of yourself, even the dark ones. I'm working on it. He kissed her softly. Old habits die hard. But for you, I'll try. Weeks turned into months. Sophia's 6-month contract expired, but neither of them mentioned it. Instead, they built a life together. 1 foot in Hyunwoo's dangerous world, 1 foot in something resembling normalcy. Sophia opened her gallery with Hyunwoo's financial backing, showcasing contemporary Korean and African-American artists. It was successful beyond her wildest dreams. Hyunwoo gradually shifted his business toward more legitimate operations, using Sophia's gallery while genuinely supporting emerging artists. It was a compromise, not entirely legal, but far less dangerous than his previous operations. Not that danger disappeared completely. There were still threats, still rivals, still moments when Hyunwoo had to make difficult choices. But through it all, Sophia remained constant, his anchor, his reason for choosing mercy when he could have chosen force. One evening, as they dressed for yet another gallery opening, Hyunwoo handed Sophia a small box. What's this? She asked. Open it. Inside was a ring. Not an engagement ring exactly, but something uniquely meaningful. A band of white gold engraved with Korean and English script intertwined. Mine, yours. In my family, Hyunwoo said quietly, we don't do conventional marriages. We make promises, commitments that transcend paperwork and ceremonies. This ring is my promise to you, Sophia, that you're mine and I'm yours for as long as we both choose to honor that. Sophia's throat tightened. And if I want more than that, if I want the paperwork and ceremony too, then we'll have those too. Whatever you want, however you want it. I'm yours, remember? That means I follow where you lead. I lead. Sophia smiled through sudden tears. That's a lot of power to give someone. You've always had the power. Hyunwoo slid the ring onto her finger. Since that first night, since you took my hand and chose to trust me despite every reason not to, you've had all the power, Sophia. I was just waiting for you to realize it. She kissed him then, pouring everything she felt into it, love, gratitude, acceptance, desire. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Sophia whispered against his lips, Then hear me clearly. I choose you. Today, tomorrow, for as long as we have. I choose us. All of it. The danger, the love, the complicated, beautiful mess we've built together. I choose it all. Then stay in my arms, Hyunwoo murmured, pulling her close. Forever this time. No conditions, no limits, just us. Forever, Sophia agreed. Just us. And in that moment, with the ring on her finger and his arms around her, Sophia realized she'd found exactly what she'd been missing without knowing it. A love fierce enough to survive anything. A partner strong enough to match her. A home built not on safety but on the absolute certainty that no matter what came, they'd face it together. The gallery opening that night was a triumph. Sophia moved through the crowd with Hyunwoo at her side, no longer the desperate woman in borrowed jewelry, but a confident gallery owner with a dangerous, devoted partner who looked at her like she was his entire world, because she was. And maybe that was the real miracle. Not that she'd survived her encounter with the underworld, but that she'd found love in the most unlikely place, that she'd chosen danger and been rewarded with devotion, that she'd taken the hand of a stranger and found the man beneath. As the night wound down and they prepared to go home, Hyunwoo pulled Sophia close one more time. I love you, he said simply. Thank you for staying. I love you too. Sophia kissed him softly. Thank you for being worth staying for. They left together, his arm around her waist, her head on his shoulder. Two people who'd found each other in the darkness and chosen to build something beautiful anyway. And somewhere in the city, the threats and dangers still existed. But for tonight in their little corner of the world, there was only love. And sometimes, love was enough. 18 months later, Sophia stood in the nursery of their new brownstone in Brooklyn, one hand on her rounded belly as she arranged Korean children's books on the shelf. Hyunwoo had insisted on buying the house after she'd gotten pregnant, somewhere safer, somewhere their child could have a yard and neighbors and something resembling normalcy. You're supposed to be resting, Hyunwoo's voice came from the doorway. Sophia turned to find him leaning against the frame, devastating as always in casual clothes. Even after all this time, her heart still fluttered at the sight of him. I'm pregnant, not fragile. But she let him guide her to the rocking chair anyway, settling into his lap. Did Ji-hoon finish with the security system? Every window, every door, motion sensors in the yard. This place is more secure than anything. His hand found her belly, spreading protectively over where their daughter kicked. Nothing will touch you, either of you. She's going to be so spoiled. Good. She should be. Hyunwoo's smile was soft, the expression he reserved only for Sophia and their unborn child. Her mother saved her father's life. That deserves some spoiling. I didn't save your life. You did. He kissed her temple. You saved me from becoming something irredeemable. You gave me a reason to choose mercy, to build something good. That's everything, Sophia. Their daughter kicked again hard enough to make them both laugh. Hyunwoo spoke to her in Korean, his voice gentle, promising to protect her and love her and teach her to be strong like her mother. What are you telling her? Sophia asked. That she's going to have your eyes and your courage. That she's going to grow up knowing her father isn't perfect but tries to be better for her. That she's loved beyond measure already. He met Sophia's gaze. That her parents found each other in the darkest circumstances and chose to build light anyway. Sophia's eyes stung. You're getting sentimental. Only with you. His lips found hers. Still electric, still devastating after all this time. Only ever with you. Later that evening, they hosted dinner for their unlikely family. Emma had graduated from NYU and was working at Sophia's gallery. Grace brought her new boyfriend. Sophia's father came with his girlfriend, recovered from his heart attack and finally healthy. Even Sung-min attended, bringing traditional Korean baby clothes and offering stiff but genuine congratulations. As Sophia looked around the table at all the people they'd gathered, the family they'd built from broken pieces, she felt overwhelming gratitude. This life wasn't what she'd planned. It was stranger, more dangerous, more complicated than anything she'd imagined, but it was theirs. And as Hyunwoo's hand found hers under the table, their rings glinting in the candlelight, Sophia knew she wouldn't change a single moment. Not the fear, not the danger, not the impossible choices. Because all of it had led here, to this table, this family, this man who taught her that love could be fierce and gentle, dangerous and safe, all at once. What are you thinking? Hyunwoo murmured. That I'm glad I took your hand that night at the gala. Even knowing everything it would cost? Especially knowing that. She squeezed his fingers. Because you were worth every risk, Hyunwoo. You still are. His smile was radiant. "Then stay in my arms," he whispered, echoing the words that had started everything. "Forever, Sophia, stay forever." "Always," she promised, "always and always." And she meant it.